Hello. It's some time since I did my last vlog. It was on the about the allotment. I thought I'd have a talk now about bikes, not motorbikes, the old-fashioned push bikes. I bought an e-bike, an electric bike, about 5 years ago. It's been absolutely marvellous. It cost a fortune, but it is so good, especially in a place like Brighton where the only flat bit is along the seafront. The rest of it, you're up on the downs. We don't have to bother about hills and headwinds and things. You just sort of, off you go. I've had a bike most of my life. It's funny, I can't remember actually learning to ride a bike. I must have done it at some stage. Because you see lots of children soon after Christmas when they get a new bike, they're out with their dads and they're falling about. But I think it's easier for children now because they've got skateboards and scooters and things that they can play about with. So when they get an actual proper bike, they're off. They've got the balance and everything. Yeah, I think we've always had bikes. So I had two elder sisters and an elder brother, so there were lots of bikes around. My first really good bike, I remember I must have been about 7 or 8. I got a bike for Christmas, my own bike. Second hand, of course, where most things were, but it was a good one. I can't remember, it was probably a Rally or a Hercules or BSA or something. Anyway, it was a good bike and I really liked it. The only thing was, I found out that it had originally belonged to Tommy somebody, who was a boy who I did not like, couldn't stand him. And he got a new one for Christmas and my dad had bought the old one off him. But anyway, it was a good bike. And when I passed for the grammar school at Kirby Lonsdale, I had to cycle to school. And it was 4 9/20 miles from where I lived to the school. Why 9/20? Because we had a little sort of mileometer thing that you could have on the front wheel so it clicked every time the wheel went round, and it must have measured in 20ths. Anyway, it was 4 9/20, 4.5 miles, near enough. And there were a group of us went together. There were 4 or 5 of us. We met people along the route and we all went and cycled together. It was wartime, not many people on the roads, not many cars, not many petrol for cars, and not many buses either. But the thing was, the children who went to what was called the modern school, the sort of comprehensive type school, they had a school bus. And as we were cycling along, they would go past in their bus and hurl abuse at us, verbal abuse from the bus. They got quite a lot back as well, and it was all in good fun, but I remember that. And also another thing about cycling to school, when my nephew's daughter was getting married, that's my great niece, she introduced me to her husband-to-be, and he came along and said, "Oh, hello, I've heard about you. You used to cycle to school with my granny." Now, it took me some time to sort that out, but he was right. We were about 14, 15 years old at the time, I suppose, and yes, we did pick this girl up as we went along. She lived in one of the farms along the way, and we cycled to school. So it isn't everybody's, you can't always, not everybody can say that they've cycled to school with somebody's granny. However, when the war started, there was not a lot of petrol about. My dad used to have a motorbike and sidecar, with a box sidecar that he used to put his tools in to go to work and carry timber and stuff around. He bought himself a bike, a sort of delivery bike, sort of thing that you see on open all hours. Um, very heavy sort of bike with a big metal basket type thing on the front. And yeah, we used to go out on that. We went to Morecambe, I remember once. We must have gone for the day, weekend, and we all cycled there, 15 miles approximately to Morecambe. That was our nearest seaside resort of any size. So yeah, lots of adventures. And I think in the 1990 I bought myself a really good, again a second-hand bike, but a Claude Butler, very famous at the time, with a Reynolds frame, which was supposed to be good. And that was good. That was a really lightweight bike that absolutely flew along. Very, very excited to get that one. When we were youngsters, we used to cycle up to the Lake District quite a bit, which was quite a long way, but the biggest cycle thing that I did was, went to Italy, 1998 it was, I always remember. Didn't cycle all the way to Italy, of course, but we were living at Epping at the time, and I remember cycling down the road to Waltham Abbey, to the M25 junction there, and I was picked up on Saturday lunchtime by the European Bike Express. Now this was a firm that had a number of coaches with specially designed trailers covered in trailers on the back behind, so that you could carry your bike or whatever. And yeah, they picked me up at Waltham Abbey one Saturday lunchtime and dropped me at Verona Sunday lunchtime. 24 hours on the coach, which was not all that pleasant, but it was okay. And from Verona I cycled up to Lake Garda, camping on my own. From Garda up right into the Dolomites at Molveno, camped there for 2 nights, had a day walking up in the hills, which was really impressive. Lovely campsite there, alongside Molveno Lake, and with the Dolomites all behind you. Then I went on a sort of tour from there, campsites. I did have one bed and breakfast on the shores of the southern shore of Lake Garda, really to gather myself together and dry out a bit after a wet day. And the last campsite I was at just outside Verona, and guess what it was called? It was the Romeo and Juliet campsite, which you would expect. So then picked up the bus again and back to Waltham Abbey the next day. So I was there. I was away for a week. Should have gone for more, I think. Should have gone for a fortnight really, but there we are. Live and learn. So, yeah, when I had the Claude Butler, I was working at Vauxhall College at the time. We had a guy there, John, who looked after the games hall and looked after all the activities, outdoor activities sort of thing. And he entered us for a triathlon in South London. It was an individual triathlon, so somebody did the swimming, then I did the cycling, and John did the running. That's right. We actually won it that first year. We were all pretty old at the time. I think we called ourselves Jerry and the Atrix or something like that. Yeah, we won it. It was amazing. And then we entered for it the next year. But by that time, more people heard about it. There were real athletes in it then, and we just came nowhere. So there we are. I've got my electric bike. I've also got a Brompton, which is a very clever sort of folding bike. Use that a bit, but it's not all that good on hills. Bit of a status symbol actually, but it's yeah, it's a nice bike, well designed, probably the best designed folder you can get. So now I use the electric bike for going up to the allotment, going to Hove a couple of times a week, and generally just sort of pottering about. In fact, I've got to the stage in life now where most of the things I do now are pottering about. So that's a bit about bikes. I'll have to think of something to do for you next time. Okay, bye.